Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, and today I'm going to go through Ajax's farming build with you guys. This build is designed to help him farm his levels up as well as to mob using his skills. Alright, is this the best build in the game? Possibly not, I don't know, some of you may have a better build than this, but this build is pretty efficient and it does what it's supposed to do. So, I'll teach you how to build it, go through all of it step by step. Now, because I haven't done an Ajax build before, I will also be going through his skills a little bit. All right, but I promise you, this video will have everything you need. So please don't just screenshot and go. At least listen to the explanations. That way you get the full picture. All right. Now, before we get started, as always, let me do a little bit of advertising. If you guys have not already checked out my music, you can hear all of my tracks early on SoundCloud. Okay, or on my YouTube music channel. Take note that the YouTube music channel has a different name. I go by Chen Siddhartha Music, which is my real name, because obviously Real Asian Robot's my gaming channel. Yeah. You can also find me on Spotify, all right, or Apple Music, and pretty much any other major music platform like Deezer, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, all that. You can find me anywhere, but please take note that for official releases, they come on a delay and it's on an album by album basis. So it takes a while before my stuff gets posted here. You want it early? All right, check my music out here. And thank you very much if you decide to do that. Okay, let's get into it. Now, also, sorry if you see a little light blotch somewhere. That's because, my green screen is having this little beam of light go through it. Anyway, let's talk about Ajax. Starting with the reactor and external components, as we always do. Let me just remove my cam for a sec. Okay. For Ajax, I'm using a tech reactor. I used a non-attribute tech reactor with skill cooldown, and I know that has additional skill attack versus Colossus, but that's actually the wrong stat. Skill cooldown is the most important, at least in my personal opinion, for Ajax, because he lives and dies by cooldowns. But if you want to mob and you want to mob efficiently, I would get non-attribute skill power boost. I know that either a tech skill power boost, or if you go in accordance with his skills, this one is dimension, this one is tech. These are his two damage dealing skills. You could either have a dimension type reactor, tech type reactor, but at the end of the day, if you want to improve the damage, because they're both different archetypes, it's best to go skill cooldown, non-attribute skill power boost. Those would be the ideal stats, but I happen to have this one with good skill cooldown, so I just used this particular tech reactor, also because I wanted to use it on a different character, so that's why I got this, all right? This is, in fact, my Kyle reactor, which I kind of just slapped on Ajax, and it works just fine, okay? For his external components in particular, okay, what I did was I stacked as much hit points as possible along with a 2 set of the Hunter set for cooldowns. Do you have to do exactly this? Not really, but this is what I found gives me the most bang for my buck. All right. There is one modification that you can pull off if you so choose, and that is to give yourself even more hit points with the Ascending Armory set, or you can use anything else that has hit points for the memory. I believe the Unpredictable set is really, really good. You can also use the Annihilation set, which is really, really good. So you could have that, all right? It won't drastically affect your defenses, but it'll give you a lot more max HP, because this is something you are going to use together with Technique Manual. I know many of you do not like Technique Manual, but it's actually pretty usul for Ajax. You can test it out in the lab to see how much additional damage you're getting, and it is quite a bit. Now, let's go through the substats for each of the external components. For the auxiliary power, okay, you are going to want a max HP roll and MP recovery out of combat. All right. This one has slightly less max hit points, so I'm not really using this, but you can actually use any item you want as long as it's got max HP and a max HP roll with MP recovery out of combat. For the sensor, I'm using the Hunter sensor. Okay, make sure you've got max MP, and if possible, please go and get MP recovery in combat. All right, the ideal roll would be something like this. Okay, this would work fine, but I'm currently using this because I really, really want the cooldowns. All right. For Annihilation, for your memory, I would choose Annihilation memory, or you can go for any of the other memory sets, Unpredictable, that give you 646 max hit points. But stat-wise, you need to have defense and MP recovery modifier. All right, this will set you straight. Last but not least is a Hunter processor with max HP, max shield, and since we're going to use this for farming, we're going to use equipment drop rate increase as well. Okay. Now, all of this will give you about 27,000 hit points, so you should really never die. And you've also got 14,700 defense, so you really shouldn't die in most circumstances. All right. This would be his reactor and external component setup to give you the best bang for buck with my particular build. Okay. In terms of weapons, I would really recommend the Secret Garden, which you would have built for other characters already. Why? Because the unique ability of the Secret Garden benefits tech-based skills, which happens to be his jump, which we're going to utilize a lot in this particular loadout. All right, and each time it triggers, it gives you more firearm attack and more skill power for about 10 seconds, which you can utilize to deal more damage to bosses or just to deal more damage with your jumps and with your skills. Because the skill power bonus from this, although it only triggers on a tech skill, it will actually help you out. Furthermore, his dimension skill can also trigger a custom resource recovery, although this is less necessary. Okay, so Secret Garden is a good choice. Now, for the Secret Garden build, you can slap anything on it. I'm just using the old Defiler build that I had. I have not changed from this because it doesn't really matter. Okay, you don't really rely on the gun except for certain boss mechanics. And even if you do rely on the gun, Malevolent is a better choice. Use the same Malevolent that you built up for Serena and you should be fine. Okay, for his modules, which I'll go through in a second, I'm also going to go through the skills during this time because I think it's quite important. Anyway, let me remove my cam because this bit will require some in-depth coverage. Okay, Ajax's skills. First one is a shield barrier. With this particular build, you are going to have a cooldown of only 3.2 seconds on this. The barrier does not have, sorry, the barrier lasts for 15 seconds. Okay, and do take note that it does have a max expandable range, which you will be increasing with your range modules, but the max expandable range is only a doubling in size. So although his other skills have a 300% max expandable range, which we need to take advantage of, you can only double the size of your barrier. So take note of that. Okay, the barrier has 160% of your hit points and 200% of your defense, as well as 100% of all your resistances. But the main thing to understand is that it will reflect damage back to the enemy. However, it only reflects damage back to the enemy at 100%. And even when enhanced, it does this at 117%. That being said, reflecting enemies' damage at them is very, very low. Okay, it'll barely hurt them. So don't even bother thinking of this as a means of reflecting damage. Honestly, they should make it so that the reflected damage is based either on your skill power or some other modifier. Because, yeah, and I checked out how much damage a boss was doing to itself, and it was like absolutely minimal, even though the boss was able to shred me. So yeah, that doesn't really work in your favor. All right. The main thing that you need to understand here is your Void Charge. You are going to pair this with the Void Charge Transcendent module, which modifies Void Walk to be stackable. So you have 2 stacks of this. Okay. Expulsion's damage will also increase. All right, in the enhanced form. Take a look at this. Without Void Charge, okay, Expulsion does 2,480, and then enhanced it does 4,000, right? With Void Charge, I believe that this becomes 4,282. Plus, you get a little bit of extra oomph from your defense. Now, that's a very, very small increase, but it does help a little bit. So with Void Charge, your Expulsion is going to do a little more, and you get 2 stacks of your jump, which is absolutely fantastic. Your jump's damage also increases in proportion with your defense. Once again, without Void Charge, the radius of the jump is the same, okay? And yeah, that's just how it goes. So pretty much that's the case. Now, keep in mind that you will not recover shields anymore once you use Void Charge, but because we don't rely on shields with this, it doesn't really matter. Instead, you can just heal through the Hakios Sheepdog, or if you are concerned about heals and you find that you cannot pick up enough life orbs, you can also adjust for that in the Inversion Reinforcer. So take note of that. Okay, Expulsion is your other source of damage. All right, and last but not least, you need to understand is his Hypercube. This is on a 7.5 second cooldown. It will last 25 seconds, but there is a interesting benefit. Did you know that while you have an enhanced barrier, okay, you will actually have firearm attack increase by 10%. So take advantage of that, sit inside your barrier and just blast enemies and you'll have a good time. Okay, so I know it's only a 10% increase, but this can help you deal with bosses a little bit faster, especially if you pull out the Malevolent and just blast them in their face. Again, during the combat demonstration section, we will show all of this. Okay, so what modules do you need to actually bring this entire build to life? Well, here's what I'm using. Void Charge is your Transcendent module, mid-air maneuvering. Then, let's address cooldowns first. Nimble Fingers, MP Conversion, this is pretty standard for your cooldowns. You will also want to have, okay, now you'll notice that these are the only cooldown modules I'm using. What I'm about to say though is that if you really, really want to, you can replace Technique Manual with focus on, say, tech or any of these, and you can have a max level or whatever if you want to. But I actually dropped it. So cooldown wise, I'm only using Nimble Fingers and MP Conversion. That's why it's important to have cooldowns on your Reactor and through the Hunter set, as well as through your Arche tuning, which we'll go through a little bit later. Okay, so once you have all that together, your cooldowns are sweet. So you don't need any more here, which means you can do something else that's interesting. Power increase and non-attribute amplification work beautifully together. You guys should know how skill power modifiers work. So, how skill power multipliers work. So these two will be multiplicative together. All right, so these two are awesome. Skill expansion and amplification control will help you take full advantage of your range. Because again, your max expandable range is 300%. From my skill range video, you should already know how to maximize that. Same for expulsion. So although these do not get the full benefit, your two main damaging skills do. So skill expansion, amplification control. This is contingent on the fact that your Arche tuning, once again, has enhanced range. If you do not have that, then you will need maximized range here until you can get it, okay? Then you want to have increased HP and HP amplification. Why 2 survival mods? Because you're going to use Technique Manual. Technique Manual triggers upon landing a skill attack, you will deal 460% of max hit points as additional damage to the target. This actually significantly boosts your damage with this particular build, and it's actually pretty good. All right, so I really like using it, and although it's got a cooldown of 8 seconds, in boss fights, this actually helps you trigger. So basically, you jump, and jump again, and then you trigger it together with your expulsion. That's basically the idea behind it. And it tends to work pretty well. So yeah, I really, really like this combo. But if you don't like this, then you can replace it with whatever you want, whatever you feel gives you the most damage. Test it in the lab for yourself and see if this comes true. But if you don't use Technique Manual, please replace your HP amplification with whatever else you want. All right. But since I'm using Technique Manual, HP amplification benefits me. So this is my current setup. We've also got MP Collector to help you keep your MP costs up, because Ajax will run out of MP pretty quickly since his skills cost a fair bit. The other thing that you can do if you don't want MP Collector is that you can put in, maximize conservation. Reduces your skill cost by 35.4%, and your skill power modifier is 20%. The skill power modifiers are so high on Ajax that the 20% is not even going to matter. So feel free to use this in place of MP Collector if you want to, but it will boil down to your personal choice. I still prefer MP Collector no matter what. I know that some people don't. So again, adjust accordingly and you can do whatever you want. All right. Okay, that is about it for Ajax's build. Now, I'm sure you guys want to see the Inversion Reinforcer, Arche tuning, and then you want to see the build in action, right? So, and a quick word on Fellow, please use the Hagio Sheepdog. All right, can you use the Vespers? Yes, you can, but I find the Hagio Sheepdog much better for sustain, and you're not relying on guns so much that you need the Vespers dog to restore your ammo. I forgot it's called Vespers something, Hunting Hound, whatever. Anyway, Inversion Reinforcer. Okay, for Ajax in particular, your Inversion Reinforcer is pretty straightforward. Usually what I will do is if I'm farming and I want to go fast, I will take Adrenaline Rush together with Neurostimulation, and then I'll just take a type of round here and forego Strike Point Amplification. If you do not care about going fast or you have enough speed, I would just go Strike Point Amplification and I pick one of these. All right? You don't really need any of the others. You can take it if you want to. Like, for example, you can get Biodensity Augmentation to up your damage with Technique Manual a little bit. But again, this is genuinely unnecessary. So I would usually, let's say I'm going to do Sigma Sector, I'll just take Fire Focus rounds, and this will be my setup, and I'm good to go. All right? So this is what I would do on Ajax. You don't really need selective cellular stimulation unless you really, really want it, because this will recover your hit points, but you cannot pick two of the same in the tree, and I'd rather have more MP. All right? So that's my Inversion Reinforcer. Now let's talk about Arche tuning. Okay, Arche tuning, quite important for Ajax. Now, you'll notice I haven't finished these last 4 points. I'm probably just going to go into weak point damage because that just is a general buff as needed. But the main part of the tree is to go down the right-hand side, grab all of your skill power, all right, and you're good to go. Then go all the way up and grab enhanced skill cooldown, all right? Once you have this entire formation that weirdly enough looks like a middle finger, this is you know what you need. The extras you can get are more max hit points in order to benefit your technique manual, and you kind of want the mana leech modifier, which will give you a bit more MP recovery as well. All right, that I feel is extremely important. Okay, that is about it. Now that you understand all this, all right, you understand everything about Ajax, let's go show a demonstration. First, I will do a simple run of the 400%. Okay, you guys have seen enough Sigma Sector during my streams. If you guys need a demonstration of that, then by all means. In fact, I probably will demonstrate a Sigma Sector after this just to give you guys a full picture. But Ajax, although he's not as fast as Keelan or Bunny, can hold his own pretty well and do fairly well in like the 400%. He just has to literally jump, 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 smack, jump, 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 smack. It's so easy. All right, so this buff has been really good for Ajax. So if you want to farm, this is how you farm. Okay, I just realized the music is not on. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Whack! Whack! Remember that you can quite literally just go through your enemies. Okay, whack.
Let's go.
Now, here's some interesting things that you can do with Ajax, FYI. You can go up high, jump, and then during your jump, you can actually jump again. Alright, this can be used to slightly correct your landing course if you're a little bit off or something like that. Okay, but in general, what you want to do is just keep jumping, and then whenever you've got a big one, you can smack down like high-value targets or, you know, big dudes, whatever. That's basically it. Okay, every 3 skills, you get your full void charge. So use that to use the enhanced expulsion and give them all a big smack-a-dack-a-doo.
Charge. Charge. Get ready.
And you'll notice that thanks to these cooldowns, you can literally just do whatever you want. And nothing ever goes wrong. Oh. But like I said, unlike Bunny and the like, you will be quite a bit slower because, you know, you have to jump and hit, and whatever hasn't spawned at that moment, you know, will not die yet. So just be aware of that.
Back away.
But still,
Let's go.
the methodology is so simple that anyone can pull it off. You can just whack them like that and move on. Alright, this is literally Ajax. And if you've got some speed on your secret garden or whatever, you can move pretty fast as well, therefore saving you time. Now Bunny does this in about 2 minutes something. I can't remember exactly, but it is 2 minutes something. Ajax will be about roughly 3 minutes. Now I'll be a bit slower because I was mostly stopping to explain things and just going slowly to show you guys techniques and things like that, but in general, yeah, Ajax is pretty good with whatever he does.
Get ready.
So although he won't be as efficient as other characters, yep, he can still hold his own right now and deal with bosses fairly easily too, which is another big benefit of this.
Let's go.
Another reason why, and this is just to explain fairly, another reason why he's slower than several of the other farmers is that his skill radiuses are not as large, alright, as those of like, say, Bunny or whatever.
Shield. Take this.
Now, this is one method of dealing with bosses with pure skills, but I find this very slow. So what I actually do with bosses is I'll put down this barrier and just pull out Malevolent. All right. This is if you want to do this at the fastest possible rate. This is what I do. Okay. I know a lot of people just wanted like a pure skill version of this, but I prefer not to. I just set up the barrier, get the extra firearm attack, and just start blasting with Malevolent. Like, to me, this works so much more quickly than wasting time playing around with skill damage. All right, so there you go. That's what I do for bosses, and it helps it go by faster. You guys will definitely beat my timing here. I was 3 minutes 50 seconds. In general, Ajax is actually about 3 minutes 20 seconds if you don't stop to explain things to people. You know, that's all it takes. That's literally all it takes. And that's how you play farming Ajax. Just go around, Goomba Stomp, Goomba Stomp, Goomba Stomp. When you get to bosses, charge up your enhanced skills, barrier for the extra 10%, and just Malevolent in their face. And that literally will deal with almost any boss or elite in the game. Super straightforward and simple. Okay, one more farming demonstration. I guess I can sacrifice one Sigma sector to almost finish Ajax, yeah? But I'm sure most of you would have seen the demonstrations already on stream, but I guess this is a good way of showing it to those that maybe didn't get a chance to tune into streams and still want to see how Ajax might function in the Sigma sector. He works pretty well. And he's fairly easy to level up here, especially his Arche tuning. Alright. Anyway, this one you require less coaching, right? Since you already understand the methodologies. See if you can pick out what I'm doing, because quite frankly, it's very straightforward.
This is Hound Actual to all personnel. Void storm is intensifying. Conditions are
Okay. You've got your two ships.
Over.
So what do you do?
That's a
You're gonna need some
specialized
firearm
bonus
attack, right?
aircraft. It can fly through void
So,
storms.
I'll pull out my Malevolent.
Descendant, if you're gonna shoot it down, do it now.
And
Hurry.
literally just start blasting. Okay, one down.
Get ready. Take this. Sheep.
And if there's enemies around you harassing you, all you gotta do is just blast them. That's what your expulsion's for. Alright, and just like that, you're done here.
Stop. Take this. Loading. Charge.
Now remember that your jump stuns them, so they will literally be sitting ducks for you.
Out of my way. Let's go.
Now once again, if it's most of these guys, I don't really rely on pure skills. It's a lot easier to just, I will hit them with skills first, and after that I'll just start blasting, because that's what makes the most sense to me.
Stop. No chance.
Descendant, we're detecting Arche life signs inside a Vulgus structure.
Let's go. Out of my way. Stop.
Abuse your mobility with the jump. Use it to not only position yourself well, but also to go a little faster if you can. Because don't forget, he will just, even in midair, do a jump like this. So you can use this to cover greater distances as well. And this is something else that I like to do.
Get ready. Let's go. Get ready. You're next. Stop. Get ready. Back away. You're next. Charge. Reload.
And there we go.
Stop.
Listen, Elias. Deploying Arche. I am the original.
No chance. Out.
A good old neck bet, you know, you can just eliminate him straight away. And here you can just relax.
You're next.
Same methodology as before, but because these guys are so weak,
Recharge.
you can just do the jump, 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 and then expel, and they'll just die. So, and this is high risk Sigma sector. The bosses here are easier than the 400%, as was supposed to be the case.
Damn it.
Even if they don't die, just pop them with a couple of shots of Malevolent and you're done. Alright, there you go.
Mission complete.
That's it.
Transport inbound.
Like I said, still slightly slower than Bunny or Keelan in several sections, but overall your farming time is not going to drastically differ. So there you go. That's how you play Ajax. I hope that this video helps you guys. Thank you for enjoying my build. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, especially if you enjoy my content. And last but not least, you know what we always have to do. Let's go thank our top supporters for April. Top tipper CG Mayhem. Top tipper list includes Fluffy Bunnykins, Kenny Tiet. Top super chat list includes Lawbreaker, Jody Wilkins, Chester Lester, Craig Ricketts, Chris Campbell, Per Crab, Sir Tommy, D. Russ, Jonathan Terry, Louis Acosta is supposed to be up there. Top channel membership gifter is Arcane Silver 300. Top channel membership gifter list is Jody Wilkins, Chris Campbell, and D. Russ as well. Thank you guys so much for all that you do for me, and I will catch you all on the next one. Don't do anything weird while I'm gone. See you later.